All right, guys, welcome to Wide Awake News Radio. I'm your host, Charlie McGrath. It is the, 26th day of March. Tuesday, Eric Lovely in the wings with me here. I see him on video. If you want to watch both of us do this thing, go to wideawakenews.com, click on the Wide Awake Radio microphone on the right-hand side of the screen. That'll take you into chat. You can join the folks we have in there right now. Listen, before I go 1 second further, Warhorse put a comment in the chat room right before we went live here, talking about gay marriage. How does it affect you? And I'm going to get back to that question here in a minute, because I think the chat room is in the same mood I am. At least Warhorse is in the same mood I am with the news. I just finished a video. It's not uploading now because Gary gets mad at me when I do that. But it is on this topic. It is on the condition of where we're at, the media. And you know what? Here's the deal. Charlie McGrath, Eric Lovely, you know what? We're you. We're no different than you. You know, Gary Hindershot, Karen Tostado. We are all just people in this country that are sitting here observing what's going on. Gary worked 24 hours yesterday, and as you guys remember, he couldn't make the program because he was exhausted. I went in the office at 5:45 this morning, and I right now I'm sitting here exhausted. I let Eric know before the program that it was not a great day. But when I sat down to think about what we were going to talk about tonight, or think about what I'd like to talk about tonight, you know, it sparked this idea to put out a quick video, which will be up later, about, you know what, it is your job. If you're listening to me right now, Eric Lovely already knows this. I already know this. Gary knows it. Karen knows it. Folks that are in independent media that I believe, the ones who are doing this for the right reason, they understand. And I'm here to tell you, man, it is you, 50 people in the chat room. It is you listening on Rinse Radio. It is you listening on Next News Network. It is you watching on YouTube. You are media. You must be the new media, the independent media. Man, I'm telling you something. There is no stopping this course we're on, right? There is no stopping it. But to think that we're just going to go down the road at the same pace is a mistake. When Michael Snyder was on the program last night of Economic Class Blog, and he admitted Michael Snyder's background is very, very deep, right? He's a very educated individual in finance, lawyer, Washington, D.C., the whole nine yards. He understands how things work, and he covers this stuff better than anybody, period, mainstream or alternative or independent media. He understands what's happening. When he can come on here and admit that he's blindsided by the actions out of Europe, then understand that we don't sit back and wait for things to occur at the same pace, because we must understand that things are accelerating. So it is our job, like it or not, want it or not, if you're awake, if you understand the truth, if you have a yearning for the truth, if you have a yearning to see a republic restored, even if you don't agree with what goes over Rinse Radio or what goes over a different network or what Eric Lovely is going to say tonight, you understand that things ain't right. We're not on the right path. We're on the path to tyranny. Not just soft, fuzzy tyranny, but the hard tyranny where people are literally killed for their beliefs. It's already happening, ladies and gentlemen. It's already happening. Americans are being killed for their beliefs. No crime, no even accusation. You end up on a list, you're dead. It is our job to be the new media. Because if we're not aware, if we don't keep ourselves informed, if we don't tell our friends and family that what is coming and try the best we can to prepare for it, this accelerated tyranny that we see, we're all going to be blindsided. No one is going to stand a chance. Look, it's one thing, these events that happen in Europe, and Eric, I'll bring you on now and I want your take on this. These events that happen in Europe spell something critical. And I said last night that we would be probably talking about this for a big part of the week, and I probably will, because it's a pivotal event. It's an event that I'm going to remember going down the road as marking a time where we went from stealing the financial future of people by immersing them further into debt. You know, this is tyranny. Stealing your financial future, giving it to private individuals in order to benefit them, is stealing your future. I mean, it is tyranny. It is a soft tyranny, but it doesn't hurt right now. In fact, in a lot of ways, it looks like recovery by throwing more debt onto the tab. But when you switch from this sort of soft tyranny to having banking institutions and government deciding that it is now time not to steal from your financial future by adding to your debt load, but literally taking what is yours and giving it to a bunch of failing institutions, you better understand that it is time to realize that we're not on a path towards a long-term march to tyranny. It is accelerating. I believe this is where we're at. I believe what has happened inside of Cyprus will go down as a pivotal event, a turn for people who love freedom around this world when they realize, they look back and say, this is when the complete collaboration, the fastest collaboration between financial special interest and government has hit its pinnacle, and they've went from a soft tyranny in indebting the people, taking their future financial wealth, and taking rather than taking their future, taking it immediately, and hard tyranny ensued. This is where we're at. So my message tonight, my message in the video tonight, the topic I want to talk to Eric about is we must become not only the informed, but the informers. Eric Lovely, welcome. I haven't talked to you for, 3 weeks. Good to talk to you again.
Oh, well, it is always wonderful to talk to you. However, I know that I agree that the media and becoming media is a very important thing. Yeah. However, the way that I see it, because I assess things differently, and in the operation of how I assess them, it is different. And I've gone by the guiding principle of what is the D-Day between passive life and actual conflict, because that's where we're going. And there's no way to avoid it whatsoever in any way, shape, or form. And most people, they calculate what's going on in the world by, okay, well, what's going on between passive existence and the point where I'll have to contemplate violence. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the contemplation should already be gone. If you look around the world, you look back and look at my microburst, the one that I did while Charlie was away for the first hour, I think it was last Tuesday, and you look at that, Thursday, you look at that video, or that rerun, and you listen to the different things that I talk about in the market, and what is going on with microbursts within the market, and how they're coming together, and they're coming at more and more quicker pace. Okay, everything around you is going to continue to hasten its walk forward or run forward or its pace forward, but it's becoming even more than that now, because now if you move the economic data out of the way, let's look at the sheriff's associations. Let's look at what they said about gun control. Now look at the response. Now let's look at the favorites. Okay, people don't want to. Okay, a lot of people have difficulty with me because I talk about violence being the end game. Well, let's look at Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Let's look at Sheriff Mack, Sheriff Tinson, Sheriff Lincoln, all these sheriffs who have stood up. And what did they all agree? They all agreed with one man, Sheriff Mack. And Sheriff Mack's quote, and please look these articles up. There are hundreds and hundreds of them on your search engine. I don't want to say a specific engine, and get in trouble for such things. But look on your search engine, and you could put in Sheriff Mack says deputize citizens, and you will see articles just start to appear. Okay, long, lengthy articles about all the different sheriffs and the sheriff's associations and what they're doing. Sheriff Mack came right out and said, well, look, the sheriff simply needs to go out into the populace, deputize himself a posse, and round these people up and take them to justice. Yeah. He's not talking about just any old people. He's talking about rounding up governors, councilmen, because the governors are saying now that, well, we're not going to pay you. Well, they have no authority to take the money away from the sheriff. The sheriff only answers to one body, and that's the people within his county. He doesn't have to listen to the governor ever. And we'll continue talking about this after the fact. Yeah,
and I want to say, before we go into break, Eric, I apologize. You did ask me to capture that audio on that Tuesday night broadcast. And I have it right here. I will get that repost tonight. I apologize for that. We'll be back with Eric Lovely, more Wide Awake News Radio. Hang tight. All right, guys, welcome back to Wide Awake News Radio. Charlie McGrath joined with Eric Lovely on this 26th day of March, Tuesday. And before we continue, I'm going to say this right now. We talk about violence. I know, I'm speaking for myself. I'm not speaking for Eric. I'm commenting on what is happening not what is going to happen, what is happening in the here and in the now. There is violence being unleashed on the people of this world and even on Americans. And I predict that it's going to get far, far worse, certainly before it gets better. Eric, you were telling us about some of these sheriff's associations that are saying that, you know what, with no other redress of grievances available, it is time for the people to stand up and stand up and acknowledge their inalienable rights, stand up and do the right thing for our communities. Go ahead.
Well, you know, see, this is the thing, and this is why people want to talk about now the future. For one, it is happening now. It is happening on mass scale in many different ways and in many different levels of violence. You know, the mental violence and torment that is being exerted on the poor through inflation and so forth. I mean, we could take it from many different angles, but right now, I mean, like I said, these sheriffs are coming together, and what Sheriff Mack is saying is, go out into your community, Mr. Sheriff, round you up a posse, arm them, train them, and have them ready to defend you against the federal government. It is no longer people like me who people want to sit in the corner and go, oh, poo-poo, it's just Eric. You know, what does he know? What great platforms have he been to? And so on and so forth. And now you have these other front runners, these other people that people have looked to for so long, like Sheriff Joe Arpaio, like Sheriff Lincoln, like Sheriff Mack, that are coming forward. And they're now saying it's time. It is time for the sheriffs to take action. It is time for the sheriffs to prepare themselves for violent conflict. I mean, these are the words that are being said. These are the things that are being talked about. And people, yes, it is time to be. It is at the end of the time to become the media. You'll never not want to become the media because you always want to inform those around you. You want human beings to have the most pertinent, most honest information they can to make a rational decision at the time that the emergency is taking place. However, we've been sounding this alarm for years, telling everyone to share videos, share your own commentary, make your own videos, everybody become the media. Well, now we're at the point where the media is about to feel the backlash. We're about to feel the sting of the federal government. The sheriffs are acknowledging that that sting is coming. Sheriffs are choosing sides. Some are choosing the federal government side. Some are choosing our side. The battle lines are being drawn. So it is.
And wouldn't you say, now, to be fair, right, wouldn't you say that to back up what the sheriff's talking about, forget us, what other people are starting to realize, so-called mainstream, so-called, legitimate voices, they're recognizing that what they're talking about doing is something that tyrannical government is already done. They've already done it, man. I mean, there was another story that came out yesterday with 300 plus more thousand rounds of ammunition heading down to Arizona somewhere. They call it training ammo, but I don't know who buys hollow point ammunition for training purposes. Eric, I mean, they're just calling out to do the same actions that government is already doing, presumably to deal with the populace.
You know, and as you talked about in one of your other videos where you were talking about all the ammunition, and now you're talking about more ammunition, you're talking about these supposed tanks that are now being staged. Well, you call them up armor, you call them light armor modulars. There are many different categories you can put these vehicles into, but now they're accounting that there is a portion of them being staged in Texas. There is a portion of them being staged in Wyoming, Montana, Colorado. It seems to be that the reports are that these vehicles are being staged in the states that are already bucking the system. So you can see it is nothing but a chess game. The Department of Homeland Security is putting assets on the board, and it's only for one reason. They're not calculating how many bullets and body bags they need because they're going to make ham sandwiches and throw barbecue. Okay, this is the reality. You don't have beanheads sit in a room and calculate numbers of losses and casualties and how many body bags you're going to need and what type of support team you're going to need to support the agents or assets in the field, unless you plan on putting the assets in the field and making stuff that goes in those body bags. I mean, this is the reality. You don't
Let me,
have someone think up how many body bags you need unless you plan on putting some people in body bags.
well, let me ask you this. I mean, there's people, myself included, that believe that there isn't people sitting there, you know, twiddling their fingers, figuring how many people they can kill in this state, how many people they can kill in that state. But I truly do believe they understand what's coming, and if anything has happened in the last 48 hours that proves it, it is what you talked about last Thursday, what we talked about yesterday. This Cyprus deal. It is the direct grab of assets of individuals. I mean, I have to believe, and I personally do believe, that it isn't that they're planning to murder a bunch of people, but they understand what's coming, and there's going to be people that are pissed off, Eric.
Well, yeah, I mean, whether we think that they are, see, here's the reality. They want to be in control. They want to maintain control. They want a global financial governance where every single individual takes part. Now, see, they don't sit around going, well, we're planning to kill 500,000 people on Sunday just for giggles. No. What the think tank does, if you actually look at these reports, they say, okay, this is our target objective. This mouse right here is our target objective. If we go on this course of action to get to that mouse, there are going to be angry people. How many of them do you think we'll have to kill before we get to where we want to be?
Yeah, it's wargaming, yeah. And Eric, elaborate on that when we come back. We're going to take our second break. We'll be right back with Eric Lovely. Hang tight. 66 people sitting in chat. Hang out when we're done with hour number one. We got William Grigg, investigative journalist. He's been on before, a great guy, and we'll probably continue on these same topics. Maybe bring it a little bit abroad and look at some of the things going on inside of Europe as well, a little more closely in the second hour. But hang out. William Grigg will be on second hour. We continue with Eric Lovely. Eric, please, we cut you off because of the break. We were talking about bean counters, and the reason we see this build out isn't necessarily because this is a problem. This is a problem that we get in, I guess, this genre, whatever you want to call it, anywhere from the sovereign movement to the truth movement to whatever, anything outside of the status quo. There is segments that are going to sit back and say, there's people up there out there that are planning to, strafe every city with A-10s, right? Unleash the Vulcans and just kill a bunch of people to get us down to 500 million on this planet outright. Personally, I don't subscribe to that. I don't care if people can believe what they want. But I do believe they've wargamed this thing to death, Eric, and they understand.
Well, I don't care. I don't really care what most people believe. It's the reality
really?
That there are.
I thought you used to. I see you as sitting there where everybody thinks about you, Eric.
No. I actually focus on the facts and what's actually taking place, and see. I think that it is a coalition of groups. I think that there is a group that truly believes, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that the world is overpopulated, and most of them need to go. They're working hand in hand with bankers. They're working hand in hand with other groups, attempting to dominate and control the masses of the population.
Agreed.
Now, whether you believe in population reduction or not, they have legislation to back up population reduction. So the population reduction guys aren't barking up the wrong tree. That's my opinion. But most part,
let me agree. Let me agree with everything you just said there. I believe that agenda is in place. What I'm saying is we're not going to see M1s rolling down the street just mowing people over. I think it's an agenda. I think they know that they're creating chaos, and they're going to create. There's going to be a death toll. There's going to be a death toll that is created by.
And here's what people have to understand. If people really need to understand, so we start talking about these think tanks, okay? I call them bean counters, but really they're think tanks. The acquisition of asset resources, okay? Now we're talking logistics in their big terms. Assets is any type of equipment or human being that you are going to put in the field to work their magic in a specific direction to accomplish a goal or achieve an objective. Okay, that could be a soldier, a tank, a helicopter, a telephone pole, a telephone book. Any of these things can be assets. Just depends on how they're utilized. Now, the purchasing of assets is an after the fact. Okay, it's an already that the assumption is a foregone conclusion. Now here, let me help people understand that. You see, first, the people come up with the idea, well, we want to stay in power. We want to maintain control, or we want this new control. Give this to the bean counters and the eggheads over the think tanks. Tell them, let them tell us who our enemies are going to be if we carry out this action. Southern Poverty Law Center, Sovereign Movement. If you look at the conversations back and forth between those groups, what has happened is they want a specific kind of control. The sovereign citizens are a group that's going to stand in their way and object to the situation. The Southern Poverty Law Center brainstorms and says, oh yeah, they're public enemy number one. Based on what? Based on what you want to do, which is take total control. See, people they don't rationalize how this process goes out. Well, now you look at it. The American government has bought thousands of weapons, Department of Homeland Security. They bought billions of rounds. They bought all these things. What brought them to that event? Somebody came up with an idea and said, well, this is our plan of action. This is the course we're going to stay. Give it to the bean counters. The bean counters then said, well, guess what? There's going to be some really angry people out there, and they're going to want to shoot you for what you're trying to do. Oh, well, how many do you think? An average between this percentage and this percentage. Oh, really? Well, how many bullets do you think we're going to need? How many guns do you think we're going to need? This is the number of guns we think you'll need to deter and deal with that situation. This is the number of light armored tanks you'll need. This is the number of new rifles you'll need. And then they went out and bought it. Okay, the idea is they're preparing for an ultimate outcome. They want something. The bean counters have told them they're going to have to kill X amount of you to get it. So they went out and bought the goods and materials to do just that. So if you don't think that violence is part of the upcoming scheme, you have lost your mind. It has already went through multiple stages to get to the point where they actually purchase the assets to put into play. Okay, this is the reality. You can sell yourself whatever cookie you want to make yourself go to sleep at night. But you have already went through multiple back and forth tier steps on the federal level that has addressed a people's uprising, and their answer was, we need more guns, more bullets, more on the streets to deal with this uprising. So even they believe that there is an uprising coming. They know that there's going to be a backlash to what they're attempting to do. All this fun and game crap you see on the media right now is nothing more than a dance routine attempting to get to where they want with the least amount of losses on their side. That's really all it is. Because if they came out today, this afternoon, and said, all right, buddy, we're taking everything you got. We're taking your house. We're putting you on one of these service farms. You're going to join the chain gang. You're going to work for, Mother America, and you're going to produce. Yeah, I know you're a welder, but now we're going to stick you over here, and you're going to be a farmer, and you're going to shut up and like it. Well, at that point, the shooting would already start, which they don't think that they're completely prepared for. This is the reason why they war game these things to death. They're trying to position themselves through propaganda to a specific point so that they are in the best possible percentile for success for their plan. And they get all of these numbers from think tanks. Okay, these numbers have already been crunched. They've already gone through. So whether or not you think that they're going to continue to try to oppress you or something's going to change the government's direction, they're planning for the outcome of oppression. Okay, and if you don't think that that's that somehow some Superman's going to fly in, or Rand the sellout Paul is going to come up there and give a brilliant speech on Congress, and all this is going to come to an end, you've lost your mind. There's too many power plays moving. They've done so much already, and we have done nothing. Okay, if you take and you give a little bloody finger to a pack of wild rabid dogs, and you give them the taste of that blood, and then you put the person that you chop the arms off of in the room with them, there's no amount of nothing that's going to stop them from eating that person. Well, look at the bank bailouts. Look at the tax hikes. Look at all the laws that have been passed. Look at the gun laws that are being passed in different states. You've given them the taste of your blood. You have shown them your weakness. Okay? You have shown them that your posture is to continue stepping back. So now they get more bold, they get bigger dreams, they want to take bigger bites, and you continue to embolden them by doing nothing. And the reality is eventually they're going to have their fill of the lightweight stuff, and then they're just going to take one big bite and take the rest in one chunk. That's the reality of this. And a book that I'm reading right now that I'm really recommending people to look at is a book called Stealing Second. And I'm hoping when I'm finished to get the author to come on with us, Charlie, and talk about it. And it is not a baseball book. Okay, I don't want to misquote the guy's name here. Let me see.
Stealing Second is the book.
Nicholas Antonozzi, Antinozzi. There's the. I don't know if I got that on the camera or not, but it's a relatively small book. The front of it is covered in barbed wire and whatnot, and it's called Stealing Second. The Amendments, Book 1. And people should read it. People should see, because this guy actually goes through, and it's a fictional story about exactly what's coming to take place in the next few days. It's well thought out and well written.
We're going to be back with Eric Lovely in just a minute. Eric, when we come back, I kind of like to talk about, if we can, just for a few minutes, what we see going on this posturing of war in North Korea and Iran. We're going to be back with Eric Lovely in just a minute. Hang tight. The cursed Windows 8 drama continues. Charlie McGrath, Eric Lovely, final segment of this first hour. I was trying to get those two segments, Eric, those two programs Eric was talking about earlier posted, so they would be up by the end of the program tonight. They will not be, because I'm trying to do it with a Windows 8, and I'm just running into snags, so I'll use my other computer, but I can't do it till after the program. So look for those later. The title of that video is going to be, it's going to be roughly 2 hours, and it's going to be Eric Lovely, Illusion of Society. And if you're listening on JTV, we came up with that title during the break. Eric, all the things going on, right? And I started the program talking about the media and what they're covering. Gay marriage, 2 cases going to Supreme Court, conservatives and liberals holding hands and kumbaya moment on moving forward. Chiefs lesbian council will attend hearings. A joke, not even infotainment, because it's not even that entertaining. However, there is news leaking out that we've seen over the last week or so, certainly since the last time you and I spoke. I put a story on the website today about the threat of North Korea, and it's something that I've been meaning to bring to the program, because, look at this smattering from Hollywood and from the media. Smattering, I shouldn't say that. The deluge of information, propaganda about North Korea, just in movies now. You had Red Dawn, right, come out, and that it was actually. Did you see that movie?
No, I have not. I saw the original.
Yeah, me too. And so, I was a kid when that came out. You were probably just barely in diapers. You probably watched Scooby-Doo and then Red Dawn. Red Dawn. But I'm older, much older than you.
No, you're not. But anyways.
Anyway, I watched the original, so I watched the remake. And the movie itself wasn't that bad. It was actually pretty good. But the premise of it, North Korea. And then what came out Friday, we had this Olympus Has Fallen, is that the name of it? And, another North Korean plot. And then headlines today, I put one on the website today, North Korea, arming itself to attack the mainland. I mean, come on, man. It is so painfully obvious that as we see our financial institutions gang up on the people, regardless if it's here or wherever, on one side, we're going to have outright war, or at least threat of war, on the other. What your take on what's going on in North Korea? I know you follow these things.
Well, of course, most people don't realize that there was actually a nuclear test that Kim Jong, or whatever, not Kim.
That's it. Kim Jong-un. Yeah.
Is it Kim Jong-un? Chipotle sauce, whatever his name is. And, okay, so you got this little 4.5-foot tin pot guy, wears platform shoes, so he looks bigger when he stands next to all the military men, with his 8-inch heels. Yeah, he's here, and he's done nuclear testing. He does have some weapons. Okay, he can cause some damage to his neighbors by all means, assuredly that he can. He does have a military force, but here's really the biggest thing you need to understand when it comes to military power. Go down to Walmart or to Ames's or whatever store. Ames, that's been out of business for decades. But
Yeah. Well,
whatever
you are.
whatever whatever local store you have in your hometown, and start flipping every item over. When you find one that says made in North Korea, call me. Okay, the reason being is that they're not really technologically advanced. They have some weaponry. Well, they could pound South Korea. They could pound them right into the dirt. And they are messing with nuclear weapons, but they're nowhere near the threat that we are attempting to make them out to be. And I don't understand really why. I guess it's one distraction or another, because we're attempting to get into that European arena, because we think we've destabilized the Middle East enough that we can now move in from the other side in an attempt to surround the Asian assets and down through Iran, North Korea. We could start talking about going back into the Vietnam area, and or Indochina, depending on what you know it as or how you know it. But the reality of this is that there's a whole lot of hype here, and the clash is really between China and us, because we are attempting to push into the region because China's control is becoming larger and larger and larger. Now everybody's going to jump on the bandwagon and say that China had a problem with North Korea and that they said that they should back down and this and that and another. But really, ultimately, he's just a loud dog on the chain. And he's sitting there making this noise as a cover for China, because China's influence and power is expanding in the region. And you can talk about their financial difficulties and anything that you want, but what we don't really hear from most people is raw resources. China is the only nation poised to come out of this with a productive capability. They have stockpiled copper, coal, any ore that you could possibly think of, iron ore, to make steel. Everything that they need to be productive when this is all over is sitting around in warehouses. They have giant empty cities built. What are these giant megapolises for? Okay, it is because they perceive that they will be the only one left with a productive capacity when the smoke settles from a world shift in mental paradigm. and that's really what you're looking at. So, I mean, the region, the things that are going on with Korea, the reason why we want troops in there, we want to cause a stir so desperately. We were hoping we could do it over the islands off of Japan. That simmered down. It didn't pan out to where we could invade. We've had massive problems in Afghanistan, massive problems in Iraq. A lot of our foreign venues, or our foreign strategic venues, as this event unfolds, it isn't working. Okay, it's falling apart. And now you're starting to see a much stronger resistance in the African center. So whether or not this will come to fruition, whether or not we're just going to attempt to bomb North Korea off the face of the map for one reason or another, I don't really know how all this is going to play out, because I don't know who the BRICS nation, okay? And if people don't understand who that is, with Brazil now being on the map, showing massive economic advances, massive mineral deposits, and them becoming a solid member of the BRICS between Russia, China, India, and Brazil. Venezuela isn't out of it yet either, even though I think they finally got old Chavez. But yeah, he died of cancer. I'm not sure I completely believe that, especially since he's been the loudest mouthpiece against American imperialism around the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that he's gone, died of cancer and whatnot, supposedly. I just think that people really need to be ready, really need to understand what's unfolding on the world scheme. Will there be a world war? I'm not real sure. If we roll over like a bunch of lapdogs, then I think that there's a much more enhanced possibility of a world war. There are definitely going to be regional wars. There are going to be proxy wars within the Asian theater. Well, I'm talking about with actual North Korea, with the Taoists, with the monks, all down into Indochina. you're seeing well, let's call it an Asian awakening. Okay, you're seeing people they're now watching the media and they're watching their neighbors because it's no longer something far off to them. They're actually seeing their neighbors kill themselves at the factories. They're seeing their friends and family stick their heads in the machines to just die so that they can be free, of the oppression and the pain and the suffering that they go through under the Chinese slavery. So you're seeing an Asian awakening start to brew. And the more I see it, I'm not saying that it isn't going to be violent. I'm saying that the ultimate outcome is going to be violent because of who you're dealing with. You're not dealing with someone that will know that they've been beaten, that will know that the world doesn't want them, and they're just going to give up and leave. That isn't who you're dealing with. You're dealing with sociopaths, okay? They got their finger on the button. And the moment they think they might lose, yeah, they're the type of people that will be talking nice to you 1 second, and they'll go, oh, wait, I'm not going to get what I want? Yeah, oh, we'll kill everybody. Just kill everybody. If I don't get to win, then nobody wins. This is the type of people you're dealing with. This is the reason why it's going to come to violence.
Wait a minute. Are you okay? This is kind of telling because right now I'm trying to figure out. Are you talking about Kim Jong-un and are you talking about the power elite that we talk about all the time? I mean,
the reason that we're talking about all of them. Kim Jong-il is exactly the same as they are. The problem is Kim Jong-il doesn't have the resources. He doesn't have the population, and he doesn't have the platform to do what the American Pentagon and president does. He wants to do what they do, but he doesn't have the ability to vault himself onto that platform. He was thinking he could hide behind China's skirt until he could vault himself onto that platform. Now he's causing some issues where China's skirt is starting to part. You might see him. They might give him up, and allow him to go on.
I think there's a whole Chinese with the Chinese thing, only because I end up dealing with some of these companies over there. They got their own predicament, and I think they're staging for a run at the world power, right? And they are building 9 Manhattans a year, and they need to put people in those buildings, and they need to put people to work. If they don't, they're going to have an uprising. Absolutely, there's a lot of misuse of labor. I guess.
Well, whenever I say, I totally agree. Whenever I say that China's poised to be the only one with productive capacity, that's what I mean. They want to be the world's driver's seat superpower. They want to produce most of the goods. They want everybody to abide by Chinese wishes. They want to take over the role that America plays now. And people, people still believe that we run around spreading freedom and peace and love and happiness by shooting them in the face. You can keep telling yourself a lie because you probably won't even notice it when your neighbor's house blows clean off the map. You just be like, oh, what was that noise? Oh, back to TV.
Yeah, or you buy the official story that comes on news, and now he was counterfeiting $1 bills or whatever the case is. He was just
burst and his chemicals blew up his house.
Eric Lovely, thank you very much. Nice to talk to you again. I will get up tonight those the 14th and the 21st. Both of those programs will be up tonight with the title Eric Lovely, Illusion of Society. We're going to be back here in just a few minutes with William Grigg. Guys, hang tight.